It's a really good question because one of the things that I do in the focus of often the focus of nutritional therapy is to look at the health of the gut. And if in the first order is to get the gut back in shape again and to get it healthy because most people have leaky gut. So they're starting off with that. And there's also a lot of people with insulin resistance, with blood sugar dysregulation, all that kind of stuff. What I've heard is that people who have been diagnosed with a mental health illness, like even serious ones like schizophrenia and bipolar and that, are almost always insulin resistant and
Really?
have blood sugar dysregulation as well. So there's all these keys here. So what I've been following and studying quite a bit is I really am curious and interested in how it is that people's mental health becomes so much better and they get out of serious depressions and the most serious mental illnesses that you could imagine. People that have been on many drugs and then they're described as treatment resistant because the drugs aren't working and they keep getting prescribed more drugs because that drug didn't work, so we're going to do this one, we're going to keep layering one on the other and they don't take away the other one. So I found that really fascinating, but what I have been seeing is getting into ketosis, which you can do quite well with a carnivore diet, has made all the difference for a lot of people. And in fact, in order for them to, to lose the depression, lose the anxiety, they have to get into ketosis originally. Not always have to stay in there because there's a lot of people eating very well and feeling very well. Eventually, they may not have as many ketones, but that's.
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Carnivore Evolution. Today, we're going to talk about the gut brain axis, mental health, and our microbiome. Our guest today is Nancy Brown, and she's also our co host, and Mark Ennis as well. And I'm Victoria Olson. Welcome to the show, Nancy and Mark.
Thanks very much,
Thank
Victoria.
you.
Hope you're well.
I am well. How about you all?
Oh,
Good.
very well. Very
Good,
good.
good. So, we'd like to talk about, open the subject. I suppose Mark would like to begin.
Yeah, so I think this gut brain connection is very important. I think a lot of people need to understand that the gut is very important for your health. Extremely important. I don't think we only spoke about this last night. I don't think so many people in the world understand that they're struggling because of the gut. I think the gut is so powerful. I think what we're feeding ourselves, this is the reason why so many people are struggling with their mental health. This is just my personal opinion. We're seeing it with young kids. We're seeing a lot of anger with young kids. We're seeing it with adults as well. They're getting very anxious about things. Depression is a big thing at the moment. Mental health is a big thing at the moment. And it's just causing an awful lot of stress, an awful lot of damage. And the way I see it is, where's the help? Like, all I'm hearing is there's people out there that you need to go and see, to speak to. We know how we are when we go to see the doctors. We're told we need to be put on antidepressants, but nothing's been mentioned about the diet. Nothing's been mentioned about the diet.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of people probably know my story. I've been on many podcasts explaining that I suffered with mental health pretty much all my life. Since I was a very young boy, I struggled when around maybe 10, 11, 12 years of age. I was always bullied in school. I was always overweight, and it really affected me. Really affected me. Um, and I wasn't getting the support that I needed. My parents were looking after me, but back then we were still eating like pretty poorly. And I just couldn't get over why I felt this way. I couldn't understand why, when people used to say nasty things to me, I used to let it really get to me, like really get to me. And that went on for the majority of my life. Anytime someone said something negative to me, I couldn't take it on the chin. It really got to me. I would have went back to my room. I would have went for a walk, and I would have cried on many occasions. It just really affected me. And then as I got older, um, again, it got out of control, like really out of control. I've said many times that I wanted to end my life, probably around 4 or 5 times. Didn't want to be here, and I was very prepared to do it. I had no problems doing it whatsoever. I was just in so much emotional pain that I didn't want to be here anymore. And when I look back at the whole diet, back then I was convinced I was eating healthy. Convinced, because I was only eating processed food probably once a week, but the majority of my diet was like clean carbohydrates, like complex carbohydrates, like oats, fruits, sweet potatoes, rice. But I was eating a lot of it. And I was eating a lot of lean source of protein. I would have been on a lot of supplements as well, like whey protein, amino acids. I would have been taking a lot of supplements. And yeah, it just got worse and worse and worse. Um, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't understand why I'm working in the fitness industry for such a long time, and I can't figure this out for myself. Just couldn't. And every time I spoke to a client, they would say to me the same thing. They'd be saying I'm struggling with my mental health, and I'm trying to help these people. But in the back, I was actually struggling myself, and I was like, okay, how can you be this person, this fraud, that you're trying to help these people with their mental health, but you're the one that's really struggling here. So that's when, like 6 years ago, I was like, okay, I need to get a handle on this. Like, if I don't get a handle on this, I can tell you right now, I won't be here for long. I won't be, because I used to go out for walks. If I didn't have my walks or my gym, the gym and the walks saved me. Every day I did the gym and the walks, and I went to the gym for nearly 2 or 3 hours because I had to. I had to get out of that environment. So I had to do something to keep my mind fresh. I had to get out of that environment. Until one night, um, I just said to Linda, I said, "Listen, I'm done. I can't do this anymore." And we went to bed, and I woke up. This about 11 o'clock at night time, and jumped into my car, and I was fully intent on ending my life that night.
Mhm.
I can tell you now, hand on my heart, I was fully ready. I was on the M50, and I speed the car up as fast as I possibly could. And I was 2 minutes away from hitting a pole. 2 minutes. Um, and I was really angry at that stage. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm really gonna do it. And then all of a sudden, bang, just out of nowhere, my daughter shouted in my head, "Don't do it, Daddy. Don't do it." So I pulled over to the side, and I put my head in the steering wheel, and I cried. I cried for about 20 minutes. I'm getting emotional talking about it now because it's unbelievable. Like, I say this every time I have this podcast, I get really emotional when I talk about it, because when I look back at what I could have lost to where I am now, you know what I mean? And I'm seeing this regularly. I'm seeing so many young men taking their own life, and it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And it's like, why aren't these people not getting the help that they need? Because I don't know what it's like in your country, but in my country, it's an absolute disgrace. They get treated like crap, absolute crap. They're told, okay, you need to be on medication. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. That's what you're told. You're told you need to talk to people. Okay, you're told that you need to be on antidepressants. I lost a next door neighbor to me. I think it was about 8 years ago. His son passed away. He was only like 9 years of age. And he was telling me, he was telling me every day he was in a really bad way. And then Christmas came. This was like 8 years ago, and he was like, "Mark, on Christmas Day, do me a favor, don't knock into me. I don't want anybody around me." And I was like, "Oh my God, this guy he's in a really bad way." And he used to always cry to me about these things, and I didn't know how to handle this situation. I thought, okay, talking was the best way. I always said to him, "Okay, grab your jacket, let's go for a walk," and it did help. But when he went back to his home and he was in that little box himself, that's when the demons came. That's when the demons came back in. And that was the same with me. I tried many times to try and get these demons out of my head by going to the gym, going for a walk, talking to people. But when I was in my room, those demons came back very quickly. Very quickly. And I just couldn't get a handle on it. So that's when I came across the podcast that literally saved my life, which was a carnivore podcast. I said, right, okay, I need to do this, because if I don't do this, I know I'm not going to be here for very long. I know I'm not. And I just said, right, I've tried everything else. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to eliminate absolutely everything. I didn't do this phase as where we eliminate processed food and carbohydrates and vegetables. No, I just jumped straight into it. Straight into it. I just eliminated everything. Um, and within 2 days, I can't explain it. This I just got this release. It just felt like all this toxin had been released out of my body, and I've been given a new life. And I was like, oh my God. And then I said, right, okay, this can't be just a diet. So I said, right, I'll do it for another week or two. It got even better. It got amazingly well. So I was like, okay, hang on a second. There's something to this. I can't keep this as a secret. I need to tell the world this. So I said, right, before I go out into the big bad world and start coaching this, I need to know exactly what I'm talking about. Because if I start talking about mental health, I'm going to get the doctors coming at me. I'm going to get all the specialists coming at me, all the dietitians. They're all going to be giving out to me. I need to know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's what I did. I went away for about 6 to 8 months. I done my research. I must have studied carnivore for at least 6 or 8 hours a day. I knew everything about mental health. I knew everything about the gut and brain connection. I knew everything about it. And I said, right, I'm going to coach this. And to this day, I've worked with many women, and I'd say about 95% of them have struggled with mental health issues, at least 95% of them. And every single one of them now are thriving. Every single one of them on an animal-based diet. So there's something to it. There really is. I just think that we're sending out the wrong message. How can we possibly push people towards these these help communities, these antidepressants, when the diet is absolutely rubbish? Surely we should be looking at this first, and then we can look at those things after that.
Well, they just don't have a clue. And Nancy is a nutritional therapist, and she has a specialty in this area. I want to ask you, Nancy, what is it? What changes when the diet changes? What's going wrong when we're eating a standard Western diet?
That's a really good question because one of the things that I do in often the focus of nutritional therapy is to look at the health of the gut. And if in the first order is to get the gut back in shape again and to get it healthy because most people have leaky gut. So they're starting off with that. And there's also a lot of people with insulin resistance, with blood sugar dysregulation, all that kind of stuff. What I've heard is that people who have been diagnosed with a mental health illness, like even serious ones like schizophrenia and
Mm,
bipolar and that, are almost always insulin resistant and
Really?
have blood sugar dysregulation
mm,
as well. So there's all these keys here. So what I've been following and studying quite a bit is I really am curious and interested in how it is that people's mental health becomes so much better
mm,
and they get out of serious depressions and the most serious mental illnesses that you could imagine. People that have been on many drugs and then they're described as treatment resistant because the drugs aren't working
mm,
and they keep getting prescribed more drugs because that drug didn't work, so we're going to do this one, we're
Mhm.
going to keep layering one on the other and they don't take away the other one. So I've found that really fascinating, but what I have been seeing is getting into ketosis, which you can do quite well with a carnivore diet, has made all the difference for a lot of people. And in fact, in order for them to, become, well, to lose the depression, lose the anxiety, they have to get into ketosis
mm,
originally. Not always
mm,
have to stay in there because there's a lot of people eating very well and feeling very well. Eventually, they may not have as many ketones, but that's okay. But once they do that, and getting into ketosis means you have got to pretty much eliminate the majority of the carbs in your diet. So, people that have this serious mental illnesses that are trying to recover and heal, they need 20 carbs or less, which is
mm,
hardly
Mhm.
anything.
mm,
And some people just go zero carb. It's very, very hard for a lot of people to do that though. So maybe some ease into it. And there's lots of ways you can do
mm,
that. But that has made, I've heard like stories like yours, Mark, a few days. That's amazing that it's been a few days. Some people it takes a little longer, but it can be as quick as a few days. And sometimes it'll take a few weeks, a few months. But
mm,
people notice all of a sudden the sun comes out. They start seeing things in a different way. They start
mm,
feeling so much better about the world. They start to be able to cope with all kinds of problems that before were
mm,
insurmountable. The
mm,
slightest thing setting them off. And I've even noticed with myself. So I've had periodic depression since I was in my teens. Always thought it was inherited from my dad, who kind of had that as well. And just thought that's just the way it is.
mm,
Genetic. There's nothing you
mm,
can do. And until I went on a carnivore diet, and I wasn't eating junk, I'll tell you, I was one of
mm,
those really like health nuts. I was following all the healthy trends, whole grains, soaking my whatevers, beans and making my own yogurt, all those things. And I still felt crappy, not just
mm,
mentally, but also physically. I thought, what is the key here? I don't know what's going on. Why can't I be healthy? This is what they're saying is healthy.
mm,
So then I went, out of desperation, I went on the carnivore diet, and it took me a while to get off those darn carbs and also oxalate dumping because I'd been drinking those green smoothies back and pounding them just because I thought that was going to be the key, and it wasn't. Obviously, wasn't. So I eased into it. It took me about a month and a half to get off of my morning toast and jam, and then eventually I said, okay, that's it, and I started eating meat, and within I'd say a few months, I started to notice a big difference in my mental clarity. I didn't feel anxious anymore, and I didn't even know I had been feeling anxious. I always thought, well, yeah, I get depressed sometimes, but I'm not
mm,
anxious.
mm,
And I realized, yes, yes, I had been feeling anxiety quite a bit. And all of a sudden, it just felt like this calm. And I just thought, man, that is fantastic. I didn't need as much sleep.
mm,
There was a few sort of ups and downs in terms of, muscle cramps and stuff like that, but you have to, know what to do with your electrolytes and so on. But that made a huge difference for me. And I just thought, okay, I was studying nutritional therapy at that point. I just started probably 2019, and then 2020, I started the carnivore diet. And I didn't realize the connection till after I did that. So after I started acquiring more information, I started getting into the mental health aspect of it. And in the space now, you can see quite a bit of information now, which is fantastic because people are starting to catch on and thinking there's an alternative. They don't have to take the drugs. It's still very far away though, because I have a friend whose child, her daughter, she's in her 20s, has been through terrible mental health issues out of the blue. She never experienced it before that we knew of. All of a sudden, she's suicidal. And
mm,
now she's on all kinds of meds. And I'm trying to convince them if you could just try the diet,
mm,
you could see a huge
Oh,
difference here. So the question is, what is it? I mean, I know that the gut-brain axis, it's a biochemical signaling path between the gut and the brain and the
mm,
nervous system and the vagus nerve. All of that's connected. So once you get rid of a lot of the starches and the crappy food and stuff that people are eating, your gut microbiome starts to repair itself. And that is really important because there's signals happening all the time between the gut and the brain, um, which influences like your mood, stress, serotonin levels, cognition, your dopamine levels. All of those
mm,
things are affected. And I think a lot of people just don't realize how important that is, that they have that in order. And that's why I talk about starting with the gut, trying to get people's guts healthy again, which means taking out a whole bunch of things in their diets that are bothering them and causing, leaky gut as well. So, um, it almost seems like magical, and there's not a lot of studies still
no,
showing that connection with the mental
no,
health, but I think it's happening. I mean, when you look
mm,
at, Brain Energy, Chris Palmer, Dr.
mm,
Georgia Ede, like those things
mm,
are popularizing things. There's with Dr. Brett Sharon, he's doing Metabolic Mind. All of that is bringing a little bit more publicity, and I think more and more people are just seeing the proof. changing
Mm-hmm.
the diet is making a huge difference to their
Yes.
mental state and
Mm.
their overall health. Is all connected, right? So
Yes.
yeah,
I
I
mean, yeah, it's yeah, it is because it's really important because when you see what's going on in the world at the moment, everybody's absolutely convinced they're eating healthy. They're absolutely convinced, but they're still struggling. Like every second person that I see and I speak to, everybody's on medication or supplements.
yeah.
That's all I hear at the moment.
Mhm.
Every second person tells me that I'm taking this, I'm taking this, I'm taking this. And I'm like, well, you've just told me that you're healthy. So do you really think you need this in your life if you're healthy? And then they go through the diet with me. They tell me all the foods that they're eating. And the one thing I notice from women is their protein intake is very, very low. They're relying very, very heavily on carbohydrates and vegetables. And Dr. Myhill talks about this all the time. There's a big difference between a sterile gut and a fermented gut.
Yes.
So if you're walking around and you know something's not right, you just know you're fatigued, your energy's not the best. And I notice this straight away when I talk to people. When I talk to people straight away, even on check-ins or let's say I do a sales call, the one thing I always do is I always look at the face. I can tell just by looking at the stress whether these people are metabolically damaged or not. You can clearly see it. You can see that. You can see these dark spots underneath their eyes. You can
Wow.
just see it. You can just see the stress in their face.
Yeah.
So I know straight away where the problem is.
Well,
Straight away just by talking to these people.
I'd like to chime in here because I have a long history of mental challenges. I had an unfortunately violent, abusive childhood and went through many years of talk therapy and trying all kinds of different antidepressant medication, trazodone, sleeping pills, Paxil, Effexor, on and off these things, and the talk therapy. I must have had 30 years of talk therapy, and it never really helped. I tried hypnosis. I tried past life therapy. I tried a whole lot of things and group therapy. It just never seemed to click. And I was always on edge and anxious if I wasn't totally depressed and in my room and sleeping a lot. And it just was constant. My mother, who was the key to that, passed away in 2011, and my father survived her by 10 years, and I was part of his caregiving and for that time because he was in his 80s. They were both in their 80s. And it was all a constant reminder of the confrontation that was always there with my family, my immediate family. And I started to drink. I hurt my back lifting weights and herniated a disc, and I started drinking what amounted to almost a bottle of wine a day, if not a full bottle of wine a day. And it just went on, and that kind of muted things for me because I still would take the antidepressants, but I would also drink in the evening. So it was a constant thing. Well, I started Carnivore in January of 2018, and I didn't notice too much change at first, and I was still drinking in the beginning. And about the third month, I quit drinking, and I was lucky I could. And by the sixth month, I just looked at my husband one day and I said, "Something has changed. It's just so different. I don't feel depressed anymore." And I realized I hadn't taken my trazodone, and I had the sleeping pills were giving me I forget Ambien. I was taking Ambien, and I would get up in the middle of the night and eat, and I would eat carbs or I would drink wine, and I had to stop that. So I stopped those pills. And then I just stopped the Effexor and the trazodone. I just stopped it like that. I sort of, like, over 2 weeks, I titrated off, but I felt so much better. So absolutely so much better. And the anxiety was gone. The fear was gone. The depression was gone. The being on edge and the crying jags and the hiding in my room was gone. It was gone. And it's wonderful. And I will never, ever, ever go back to that
Mm,
life.
mm,
And I'm convinced that it had a
mm,
carnivore because I was 3 years keto before that and I was still drinking, and it didn't help as much as carnivore. Carnivore was like a light switch. It was
mm,
one day on and then off. It was gone. and it's nothing short of miraculous for me. That's my
You know,
story.
it's interesting. That is such an interesting story. Um, and sadly, so many people have similar types of stories. But I have heard, and I don't know if you've read Georgia Eads' book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind.
I
But one of the
haven't
things
read
she
it.
talks about all the different sort of variations of a keto style diet, and carnivores discussed. And I've heard her say this too, because I took a course with her, that there's something quite a bit different about carnivore versus keto.
Mm,
That she said that somehow can make a much bigger difference than just doing regular keto.
mm,
Even if you're doing a properly constructed keto diet, not just like the Costco version of all the treats and whatever. We're talking one that's got you're weighing things out and you're eating whole
mm,
foods and all that. For some people, I think it's got to be taking those plants out that are
mm,
making all the difference, because that is changing things for people that they didn't experience as much. They might have felt much better with keto, but even more than that, they did so much better with carnivores. So it is interesting. There is something to that, and I don't know if it's the plants. It's just
I
for some
think
people,
she
and
says it's the ketones, doesn't she?
mm,
well,
I
the
saw her in a
ketones
video
for
say
sure.
that
And
because there's so much more of them when you're carnivore. Because on keto, you're still eating the
mm.
plants that
Yeah.
even fiber brings carbs.
Yeah, and you have to understand as well, like the vegetables, they are a carbohydrate. They're a fibrous carbohydrate. They mightn't have as much carbohydrate in them, but you're still
Yeah,
getting a little bit of
still
sugar
there.
in it. And you look at the food, and you look at the vegetables now, they're not the same as they used to be like 100 years ago. They've been
No,
sprayed with so many chemicals now, so they're not the same like compared to like years and years and years ago. So it's
and
completely different now, completely
and they
different.
don't have the same mineral or vitamin
No,
content that they used to, because the soil is so bad. The
yeah,
soil's depleted.
Mhm.
They're not getting what they used to get in them.
mm,
So it's hard to say, because you can measure your ketones. It'd be a good experiment to see between, I'm
mm,
doing a keto diet here and then measuring all my ketones and keeping a
mm,
chart,
mm,
and then doing a carnivore diet and seeing if your ketones are going up that much higher.
mm.
Or is it the irritation aspect of the plants? It's irritating the gut. It's
Uh,
like,
yeah, at the end of the day, what I do, the best feedback I get is how do you feel?
yeah,
Like, what I mean, if you're on the keto diet and you feel amazing and there's no gut issues there whatsoever, and you're getting on with your day and you've got lots of energy, keep doing it. No problems whatsoever.
I
But
agree.
if you're getting back to me with feedback and you're like, what, I'm on the keto diet, but something's not right. I'm still walking around with these issues. I don't feel good. I'm still struggling with my mental health. Well, then at that stage, I'm saying, okay, eliminate the vegetables, because I can only speak for myself. I fell into this low carb lifestyle by accident, to be honest with you, because like I was trying to figure this out for years and years and years, and I kept on eliminating the carbohydrates. I kept on going back to the carbohydrates, and like I was like, okay, has to be the carbohydrates. I'm absolutely convinced it's not the vegetables. I'm convinced, and I was convinced also it wasn't the fruits. So so I tried everything. I used to eat sweet potato every day. That didn't work well for me. Then I looked at rice. That didn't work well for me. Then I looked at quinoa. That didn't work well for me. So I was like, okay, this is not working for me. So just get rid of it all. Get rid of it all. And I stuck to a plant-based, well, not plant-based, but I stuck to more like keto at that time. So I was eating a lot of vegetables, but I was eating a lot of lean sources of protein. I was getting my fats from like peanut butter, almond butter, stuff like that, avocados, but I wasn't getting good quality fats at that stage. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something wrong with me. I was convinced at one stage there's something wrong with me. I'm going to be on medication for the rest of my life. Um, and then I looked a little bit more into keto, and they were talking about, okay, it's important that you add in more fatty fish. So I looked at sardines, salmon, and again, I stuck with that. I went on a more pescatarian diet. I eliminated the meats, and I was focusing mainly on oily fish. But again, couldn't figure it out. Just could not figure it out. And then it wasn't until, like I said, I came across this podcast like years ago, and the last thing that came out of my diet was vegetables. That was the last thing I was eating. At that stage, before I listened to that podcast, all I was eating was just plants and protein and a little bit of fish here and there. That's all I was having. And then when I heard him talking about he was just eating a lot of eggs, a lot of red meats, a lot of saturated fats, I was like, okay, what else do I have to lose? But psychologically in my mind, I was looking up the plate and I was like, okay, you just want me to eat a piece of steak. There's nothing else there. There's no vegetables, nothing else. But it wasn't until I start eating the steak. That's when I realized, okay, first of all, I'm getting full, I'm getting satisfied. I'm happy. I don't have these gut issues. I finished my steak and I can get up off the chair and I don't have that bloated feeling. I'm not struggling to get up off the chair. I'm not lethargic. I'm not feeling like I need a nap. None of that. That was all gone. So it was like that's when I knew what I need to do here. And I think a lot of people need to be doing the exact same thing. They need to understand that if there's an issue at the very, very beginning, we do it in phases. We eliminate the processed food. If you're getting back to me with feedback and you're saying, okay, it's a step in the right direction, but my mental health is still bad. Okay, let's remove the carbohydrates. Again, feedback. You're telling me that I'm still struggling. Okay, vegetables, fruits, eliminate them. Let's see what happens. Then all of a sudden they're on the carnivore diet, and then all of a sudden things just automatically improve. I think that's really, really important because we discussed this many times, that if you're just getting someone, if you're just working with someone and putting them straight into the carnivore diet, I think that's a recipe for disaster. I don't think that's going to work. It's like if you work with an alcoholic and you say to an alcoholic, okay, you're going to quit from tomorrow, you're going to quit. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a massive shock to the system. They're going to be like, whoa, I'm not going to be able to do this. They have to understand they have a problem in the first place. And I think the feedback is the most important part. They have to provide you with as much information as possible so you can keep an eye on their progress. Now, if they get the keto and like I said, they feel amazing, they feel fantastic, well then I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm just going to say to them, okay, listen, if it works for you, keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's people out there that are metabolically flexible. They can eat 20 grams of carbohydrates a day and they're fine. And I don't have any issues with that. But it's only if you're getting feedback back and they're saying like, okay, well, I'm eating all these healthy foods, but something's still not right. That's when you need to make the decision. Okay, maybe this is not working for you, and we probably need to go into an elimination diet.
Yeah.
What is your approach, Nancy, when you're doing therapy with someone?
In terms of what their goals are, their diet,
Dietary approach.
we always, well, I do an extensive intake and they fill out a questionnaire, 300 plus questions. So we look at what their past has been like, their past health, what are their goals, what is it that they want? They want to feel better. They want better, they want to lose weight. A lot of the time they'll say that too. What I do is not focused on losing weight. It's focused on improving the health, and oftentimes the weight comes off as a result of just changing things. So then what we do is we look at, sometimes we might see if they want to do a food sensitivity test or something like that. But I normally never start with any of that testing. I just look at the questions, look at the answers, and then I create a program for them based on what they've shown me, what their answers are and what they've talked to me about. I just feel like diet is the very first step in anything. I won't, like, unless they've got some sort of medical problem that needs to be considered. And some people do, they might have high blood pressure or whatever, but it doesn't matter. That can be helped greatly with a change in diet, especially lowering the carbs. And then I create a program for them based on that. But I always tell them, take out the processed foods, take out the junk, really focus on lowering your carbs, especially the ones that are saying they want to lose weight. And they find it so hard. They really do find it hard to do those things. But it's like, well, how badly do you want this? I'm telling you, these are the kinds of things that can help you. And you can take it or leave it, but it's up to you. And that's how much progress you'll make if you can, sort of get into this. So I try to.
And isn't it very, very sad that they know that they can't give it up? They can't give up these favorite foods, so they'd rather be on medication to substitute this problem when they know that the root cause of the problem is the food that they're eating, but they just cannot give this up.
Yes.
It's very sad
Yes.
to see, isn't it?
Yes. And especially like arthritic pains and those kinds of things, those
Mm,
are all connected. And a lot of
mm,
people just think that that's the way it is. I'm getting older. I've
mm.
got arthritis and that's, there's nothing I can do. And I'll say, well, if you cut back on your starches or your carbs, well, you might be able to alleviate that. Oh no, I can never give up bread.
And when you
Oh
think
no.
about it, the three main problems: processed food. It's not even there's no nutritional value in it whatsoever. Carbohydrates, no nutritional value in it whatsoever. Our bodies don't need it. It's not essential. Doesn't need it. Fiber, same thing. Our bodies don't need any fiber. It's not essential. So again, no nutritional value in it whatsoever. Those three at the moment, that's the majority of people's diet at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that's
Yep.
that's a fact. That's
Yep.
an absolute fact. That's the main part of the diet, because a lot of people, as they get older, they're deficient in protein. I see this all the time with women. I always ask them, like, how much protein are you eating a day, and they'll say to me, not much. I'm like, listen, the one thing you want to be doing is eating more protein. You need to be getting into the gym, and you need to be prioritizing muscle. Forget about the cardio. Forget
Yep.
about all that running and all that stuff. No, get into the gym, start lifting some weights, start adding more protein into your diet. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
And then look at other options. And again, I explain this to these people. I say, listen, the three foods that you're focusing on at the moment, there's zero nutritional value in this, and you're prioritizing this into your diet. You're
Mm.
being brainwashed into thinking that this is what you need to do, but this is the reason why you're going through this. And
Yep.
and the reason why you're on this amount of medication is because of these three problems over here.
Yep.
So would it not be better just to remove these three problems and then eventually be off the medication? Because they're always saying to me, I would love to get off this medication. Can you help me to get off this medication? And I'm like, I can, but I actually gotta listen to me, because what
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna like. And they're like, try me, try me, try me. And I'm like, okay, well, you have to eliminate all these three. And they're like, well, I don't think I can do that. I'm like, well, you not see where I'm going here? Like, how can I help you if you're not going to listen to what I'm telling you? And I've kind of learned that over the years that unfortunately people just don't want to listen. And instead of wasting your own energy on these people, you just need to move on, because they're brainwashed. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, and I think it's also just it's food addictions.
Mm,
It's sugar addiction, carb addiction. There's different things that eh, it's a psychological and a physical manifestation that's something else that needs to be addressed. I mean, I know there's someone in the space that I'm in, and she specializes in sugar addiction. That's
mm,
her whole practice. That's her whole thing is to get people off of it. And so basically she removes it all right from the beginning when she's working with
Wow.
someone and it's gone. She said, it's
Mm.
just, you're just starting and not easing out of it.
mm. Yeah, yeah, and that's the most important thing. Like, people have to understand they have an addiction in the first place.
Yeah, it's
They
very
really do.
powerful.
Yeah,
It's
they really
extremely
do.
powerful. It was for me.
Like, people can't keep on saying that they don't have a problem with sugar. All you need to do is ask these people, or tell these people, okay, can you go 5 days without eating any carbohydrates? That means any carbohydrates, vegetables, fruits, complex
Bread.
carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Can you go 5 days without eating carbohydrates? And most people will say no. So
Mhm.
there's the problem right there. You are addicted to sugar, and they don't realize that the carbohydrate that they're eating, the minute it enters the body, that's when it turns to sugar.
Yep.
They don't understand this. They just think that's coming from processed food. So if I eliminate the processed food, I'm being good, but then they're eating so many carbohydrates. And this is
Yeah.
the reason they can't understand why they have to eat every 2 hours. Every 2 hours they have to eat. They're getting these regular snacks. They're getting these regular hunger spikes, but they have no idea where it's coming from.
No,
No
they're
idea.
just not aware of it. And I remember raising my kids. We kept the sugar low, and we didn't have desserts after every dinner. And there were a few treats, and the breakfast cereals didn't have sugar. They weren't sugar coated. But I notice now with my grandchildren, now that I'm so much more aware of this kind of thing, that I can see their behavior change if they eat
Mm,
something sugary or drink
mm,
some sweet soda pop. But we just don't know. And I
Mhm.
don't understand that either. Why is it below our awareness? We
Yeah.
just
mm.
don't get it.
And I'm
Mm,
a retired teacher, so I saw an elementary school teacher, and I saw the effects of
Mhm.
the crappy foods that the kids were bringing into the school. And anytime there was a sugary something or other, someone's birthday, and there was always that cake that came from the supermarket that has the, the thick coatings of icing in it. And you can see it, or the day after Halloween. They
Oh
come in
my.
and it's like, oh, you might
oh
as well
yeah.
just watch movies all day because they
Mm,
were so dysregulated.
mm,
And especially like nowadays, kids don't need any more problems, I think, with their mental
Yeah.
health, right? It's just gotten pretty bad for them too,
mm,
and their physical
mm.
health as well. But I thought have you guys heard of Jen Unwin?
Yeah.
No.
She's Yeah, Dr.
No.
David Unwin, Jen
Mm,
Unwin.
mm.
She's trying, I think it's her. She's trying to get sugar addiction on is it the DSM? What is it called? The book.
DSM. Yeah, the
Yeah.
diagnostic manual for psychology.
Yes. Yeah, she's trying to
I'm
get that on
familiar
as
with
a
that.
real addiction,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which it is. I mean, if you looked at the criteria for an addiction, all the things that they list for alcoholics and drug addicts, same thing,
Yeah.
same thing. Hiding your food and, sneaking it around or whatever, feeling like you're going to get desperate if you can't get that food, like that
Mm,
kind of
Yes.
thing. It's the same thing. It's just that we
Yes.
don't recognize it as such, but I hope it does make it on there because that would go a long way, I think.
That would be
mm,
great.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you see what's going on now, Alzheimer's is a big thing at the moment, and Alzheimer's now has been diagnosed as type 3 diabetes. That's what they're
Yes.
saying. They're saying that it's type 2
Yeah.
diabetes. And when
Mhm.
we look at diabetes, this is what I'm told. I'm told this all the time from these experts that diabetes is an insulin resistance problem. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with sugar. And I do be scratching my head. I'm like, how do you guys not understand this? Your diabetes is diagnosed when your blood sugars are chronically elevated.
Mhm.
That's how diabetes is diagnosed. So if it's something to do with your blood sugars, then obviously it's down to the amount of sugar that you're having.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's the same with type ones. Again, I can't understand why people just keep on throwing insulin at a type one when he doesn't need that much insulin, because this is when people have issues with hyperthermia, they have issues with their gut again, they have issues with their mental health. And I hear this all the time also, that a type 1 cannot gain weight. Absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now,
Oh,
in the
yeah.
last 5 years, I've had two people that were type 1s, and they were severely obese, severely
Really?
overweight,
Yeah.
Well, they
severely.
make them eat carbohydrates to
Yeah.
deal with the balance of insulin in their
Yeah,
system.
and that's what I'm saying. They're taking in regular doses of
Yeah.
insulin because they're eating carbohydrates, and they've been told to do this every hour. They need to
Yeah.
eat carbohydrates, and then when they're doing
Yeah.
that, they need to have a shot of insulin.
Or they go
Yes.
into
Crazy.
hypoglycemia, which is
Yeah,
life-threatening for
yeah,
them.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. And then you look at, like, it's. I only seen this report a few weeks ago. Young kids now, as young as 8 to 10 years of age, are walking around with type 2 diabetes. Like,
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that
and
young.
and it's the same with
Hmm.
fatty liver disease.
Yeah.
I was
Yes,
Yeah.
looking
and
at a- I
fatty
was
liver.
I was
Yeah.
looking at a report there about 6 weeks ago.
Mhm.
A young boy at 9 years of age, his liver was absolutely toxic. This, like, literally toxic. And I was like, how? Why is a child at this age going through this?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Treats, sugar, treats
It's
and sugar.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then when I put this video up, I couldn't believe the reaction I was getting. I was getting angry parents coming on to me and saying that you cannot tell me how to feed my child. And I was like, I didn't tell you how to feed your child.
Mhm.
I'm just telling you that this is a serious problem,
It
and we
was
need to
patently obvious.
and we
Yeah.
and we need to look at this problem, because at the moment
Mhm.
nobody's giving you the right information. At the moment, nobody knows what to do. Nobody. I
Exactly.
mean, we're thinking about putting kids on Ozempic.
Yeah.
I mean, am I the only one that's gone crazy here?
Yeah.
No,
Probably.
no. You told me about a mother who wrote to you about her son,
Yeah.
and you said, "What is he eating?" And she said, "Oh, he eats all the good foods." And what are they? They're carbohydrates. Yeah.
I
Yes.
showed you that. I showed you that message.
Yes. Hmm.
That
Yeah.
that woman reached out to me a few weeks ago, and she was saying to me, "My son is a type 2 diabetic. Can you please help me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I need to know. I need to know
I
what his
thought he was
diet
a type
is."
one.
Oh, type 1, yeah. And I
Yeah.
said to her, I said, I need to know what his diet is. So she set me on a big list of his diet, and I said to her, I said, listen, the diet's wrong. The diet is wrong. You need to get him off all these carbohydrates as quick as possible. And then she started getting angry with me, like really angry with me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I said, I'm not having this. I said, this is only information. I'm only
Yeah.
giving you information here. This is just advice.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
was absolutely convinced that if I took him off carbohydrates, the child would die. The
oh,
doctors are
for heaven's sakes.
the doctors are keeping
Mhm.
my son alive with all the medication.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, do you not understand here? Your son is only 14 years of age.
Yeah.
You're like it's unbelievable. And it makes me really, really angry when these people are having a go at me. It's like, well, how do I get through to these people? Because I'm trying to see make you see the light. You've been lied to for all this time. Your son is in a really, really bad way, and we could potentially fix this if we just change the diet. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just
Yeah,
saying potentially we could do it. What have you got to lose?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
have you got to lose?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Why can't we not just try it?
It's interesting, like about the diabetes too, like the type 1. My sister was a long time dietitian, 40 40 years or so, and she worked specifically with diabetics. And the diet that they followed back then and what they subsequently have evolved into over the years is very, very different. They
Yeah.
took different types of insulin and
Mm,
they were on a very strict diet. My sister described it as one of the healthiest diets you could be on. That changed when they started introducing more different types of insulin options. And so that you could control if you wanted to have a piece of cake, just take more
mm,
insulin. If you wanted
mm,
to eat more, like you want go out for pizza with your friends or whatever, just make sure the insulin. So these type 1 diabetics are taking more and more insulin,
mm.
and that has repercussions for long-term health in
Yeah.
terms of increased risks of cancer and other things, right? So that's what their go-to is now. And then they don't want to hear, they've heard their endocrinologist say, oh, you just don't worry, just keep taking the
hmm
insulin as much as you need. You want to have something, some treats or whatever, just take more insulin without explaining to them that this is going to have repercussions down the
yeah.
road,
Mm,
if not
They don't.
now, because I know of
Yeah.
overweight type 1 people as well.
hmm
So,
They don't live into old age. I was watching a video the other day of Meet of the Matter. They were talking with Hal Cramner, who runs those nursing homes where he feeds the residents a keto or a carnivore diet. And one of the hosts is a type 1 diabetic, Peter. And he said, you won't see me in a nursing home. You won't see a type 1 diabetic in a nursing home, or you usually don't, because they don't
mm,
live that long. And it's
mm,
that insulin and the allowance of the glucose that is
yes,
leading to those shortened lives. It's
yes,
really killing them.
yeah,
mm,
So
mm,
that's
yeah,
just as bad as before they had insulin. And that's
yeah,
the
mm.
influence, in my opinion, of big pharma.
Mm.
yes,
Yeah,
for
and see that's
sure.
the worrying part. We have a solution for every single problem in the world at the moment. We have a solution. That's where it is. Whether you're a type 2 diabetic, metformin, antidepressants for mental health. We don't know how to handle our obesity crisis at the moment, but guess what? We have this weight loss injection that's going to solve all our problems. We're all on a low fat diet, but heart disease is still the biggest killer in the world, but we're still going to provide you with a statin. Like it's mind boggling. It's
Yeah,
absolutely mind boggling how we're allowing this to happen.
yeah,
It really is. It's
yeah,
just and this is what frustrates me because as I mentioned earlier on, I hear this all the time from people, all the time. I hear this in my local change room in the gym. I hear men that are younger than me and they're really struggling with their health. And they're talking about going to the doctor on a regular basis, and I'm like, Jesus, these guys are like 10 years younger than me. You know what I mean? And they're relying on a system that has failed us over and over and over again. And they're convinced that these people have your best interests when it comes to health. And these people have never been proved ever to look after people. I mean, you only need to look at what happened during COVID. What happened during COVID? We were all told that we need to sit indoors. We can't go out and talk to people. We were told that all the takeaway shops they were all open. We were told we could have alcohol. The alcohol shops were opened. They closed the gyms. So people's mental health went up here
Yeah.
because they were sitting around, they were doing nothing, they were eating processed food and they were eating alcohol. And this was all down to the government. The government told us to do this. And then every week, what were we doing? We were clapping the doctors. You're doing a great job. You're doing a
Yeah.
great job.
Yeah.
Do you see where
So
and
true.
honestly, I got so angry about this, really angry about this,
Yeah.
because when I was going through COVID, I seen this at least 4 weeks. At the very, very beginning, I was on board. I was like, okay, this is a major problem. But within 4 weeks, I was like, okay, hang on a second. You're telling me that to look after my health, I need to sit indoors, I can eat processed food, and I can drink alcohol, and I can watch Netflix all day, and you're going to close the gyms. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. So I set up my own boot camp, literally outside my home. This is a free boot camp, and I just did it just to get people outdoors, so that it would actually do something to their mental health. They're talking to people, they're doing some sort of exercise, and I used to do that first thing in the morning, just to get a good start to the day. I was getting all the curtain twitchers given out to me. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. I had the police at my door
Yeah.
at least 6
Really?
times. Yeah,
Yeah.
at least six
Oh my
times
gosh.
threatening me that if I keep doing this, I'd be in prison.
Yeah. Yeah. We had that here. There was a lot of stuff like that that happened. It was,
Unbelievable.
yeah, very anti
Unbelievable.
during that whole time. I know. But you know
Uh,
what's nice though, Mark, in Victoria is despite what we're seeing with in Ozempic and there's fatty liver and kids have type 2, is I'm seeing such an increase in this interest in carnivore
mhm,
and in metabolic health.
yeah.
And that's
Good.
increasing. There's more publicity around it.
Yes.
So, and I don't think anybody, like any people that have experienced that kind of health, they're not going back. You know, this idea of, cloned meat and fake meat and all
Oh,
that. No
100%.
way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you've gotten healthy, you are not going to be putting up with that or eating crickets. So, like, I think that's a good thing. Like, I guess we have to look at it that way.
And the one thing I'm noticing is I'm getting asked a lot of questions now in the last couple of years. People's interest are really focusing on what I'm talking about. They're really listening to the cholesterol, what I'm talking about, sugar, and the impact this is going to have on metabolic health. They're really thinking about this, and they're like, well, this guys could be onto something. And I have no problems with that. I have no problems people coming back to me with these hard questions because I know how to answer them. I know how to answer them really quickly. And then what they do is they watch the content, they listen to what I'm saying, and then these people are reaching out to me. These people are reaching out to me and saying, "Bro, okay, now I've been watching you for the last couple of weeks. I've implemented a few things that what you've been saying, and I've seen a tremendous improvement in my health."
Yeah.
So they're getting back onto me and saying, "Right, okay, I need you to take me on to the next level.
Good.
I can clearly see what's going on here."
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can't remember the last time I've marketed my services. When I got into this industry like 10 years ago, I was on social media all the time. I was showing myself off. I was trying to market myself and try and make some money. Whereas now people are coming to me. They're seeing what happens to their friend. They lost all the weight. They're seeing people that are putting their diabetes into remission. They're seeing people that are not in pain anymore. What you were mentioning earlier on, Nancy, with back pain and knee pain. All these problems are just going. It's not just a weight loss solution here. Their health has actually improved. They're
Yes.
off all the medication. Their mental health has improved. They're buzzing. They've got so much energy. They're not getting these mid-afternoon crashes anymore. They're not getting angry around food anymore. You know what I mean? They're just getting really, really healthy. They're thriving. You can see
Yeah.
it in their skin. You can see it in their hair.
Yeah.
I've had women come to me with they're losing their hair. They're literally losing their hair. You know, what I mean, they're like that, and they can pull it out. And I'm like, well, this is a hormonal issue. This is, and then when you explain to them, like, okay, what are you currently doing at the moment? I'm on a low calorie diet. I'm doing a lot of cardio. I'm eating a lot of vegetables, and they're absolutely convinced that this is what they need to do. And I'm like, well, do you not see where you're going wrong here? You've been given the wrong information. You're
Yeah.
doing this. You might look amazing, but you're looking amazing, but you're destroying your hormones at the same time.
Yeah.
But it
You're
starts
destroying your
with
hormones.
questioning. I'm sorry. It
No, so
starts
you're
with
Rika.
questioning, asking those questions.
Absolutely.
And Nancy said, people are starting to show an interest. It's like that woman who's the mother of the type 1 diabetic son. she never questioned the process. She didn't delve into the process of diabetes. She just
Exactly.
took at face value what the
Mm.
doctors had told her. Well, this is a condition that you can't help. We have medication for it. We'll tell you what to do. And that's
Exactly.
where her level of interest stopped. Otherwise, she would not have gotten upset with you. It
Yeah.
was surprising enough that she sought your advice, Mark, but that she just didn't understand the mechanism at work behind what was going on, and she
Uh,
needs to come out and question.
yeah. And if we take it back to mental health, because this is what the topic is around, like mental health and people are and the gut and brain connection. This is what I don't understand. I don't understand why these experts don't talk to like yourself, Nancy, or myself, and just listen to what we have to say. We're not saying that this is gonna solve everybody's problems, but I can tell you right now, it's a damn good place to start.
Yeah.
In my
Yes.
opinion, I,
Yeah.
I firmly believe that you can't keep on putting medicine onto a problem when you're gonna tell people,
Yeah,
okay, the food that you're eating at the moment is not the problem.
didn't work for me. No.
No.
Nancy, you had mentioned something before we started about reversing, how carnivore reverses things. Could you say
How it
something about that?
reverses what in particular? I'm trying to remember what I said.
Mental health issues that the how
Yeah.
carnivore has helped
Mental
reverse
marital clarity, yeah.
mental
Yeah.
clarity.
Well, for me personally or in general?
In general, you said that you've seen that you've observed that the carnivore diet will help reverse issues,
Yeah.
depression, anxiety.
Well, I mean, that's something both of you have seen too. And I see this over and over and over again. I watch a lot of podcasts, listen to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of reading. I am always trying to learn. And this is something you see over and over and over again. And at the very least, if you can get into ketosis, for some people, that's all they need. And they,
Mhm.
they do okay. And they don't need to get rid of everything in their diet or, at least like all the veggies, like some people do. But for a lot of people, in the mental health space, you're just seeing people reversing, or at least they're calling it going into remission. But to me, it's almost like you're being
Mm,
cured, really. If you want
mm,
to just say that word, you're being cured of whatever it was what caused it in the first place was the poor eating habits, was all that stuff that was just creating, dysregulation in your body. And for so many people, just taking all that away and focusing on the most nutrient dense foods that we have, is meat
mm,
and animal products,
mm.
is the thing that has made all the difference in the world,
And see,
for
and this is the problem right here, Nancy, because we're convinced that the only main energy source that we need is carbohydrates. That's what we're told. We're told that, okay, your body's preferred main energy source comes from
Yeah.
carbohydrates.
Yes.
And we all did this, but none
Mhm.
of these people understand that you can get just as good, even better energy coming from carbohydrates fats, and you're going to reduce all that inflammation. That's what's causing the damage at the moment.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
once you're inflamed, that's where the metabolic damage is going to come from.
Yeah.
So once you remove the inflammation of your body, and fats is going to help you do that, you're going to feel so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's just common sense. I just don't understand why we've been pushed towards a macronutrient that is non-essential for your body, but we're told to prioritize this in our diet.
Yeah. Well, we know that there's a history there, really. I think we've been propagandized with, in the food industry and big ag and all that kind of stuff has been, telling us that the food pyramid is the healthiest way to be.
Mm.
And we know now that that's not true at all. So,
And what
yeah,
and what do you see? What do you see when you go into the doctor's office on the
yeah,
wall? The
yeah,
food pyramids,
yeah, yeah.
and he'll tell you, okay, just follow the food pyramids, just follow that. See that picture over there? You just follow that. But he doesn't have a clue about nutrition.
No, they don't
Not
know.
a
They don't know
not a
about
clue.
nutrition.
Not a
Yeah,
clue.
yeah, interesting. Yeah.
It's worrying. It really is. It's just worrying how we're putting our faith in these people's hands, and you can clearly see it's just not working.
No.
It's not. At the end of the day, if it was working, then we wouldn't have a serious health crisis at the moment.
Yeah.
That's a
No.
fact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but we
it's
do
as
have an option.
but sorry for interrupt you, Victor. But it's not just happening with adults. It's happening with young kids now. We spoke about
Yeah,
this earlier on. It's very, very worrying what's going on
that
with
is
young kids at the
a
moment.
shame. Yeah.
And I will not accept that a young child at the age of 9 years of age is walking around with a bare belly, and you're telling me that this is just puppy fat, this is just
Yeah.
baby fat. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I'm not having that. I
Yeah.
remember this is a true story. I remember 2 years ago, I was driving home, and this mother was bringing her child home from school, and she was around 100 meters in front of him, and this child was behind her, and he was struggling to catch up with her
Oh dear.
because he was carrying too much weight.
Oh
Mhm.
dear.
And she was shouting at him, "Come on, I'm in a hurry." This child was severely overweight, and he was about 100 meters behind her.
Mhm.
Oh,
It was
that's
unbelievable,
child abuse. That's
unbelievable.
abuse right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
Poor
the
and I can,
adult
I
is in charge.
I can
And
guarantee she's going home, and she's the one that's doing the damage because she's the one that's
yep,
feeding them
yep,
this food.
yep. That's awful.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Terrible, absolutely terrible. It really is.
Well, I was looking at my granddaughter last night, and she has a belly. She's very thin, slender. She has a beer belly. She's got a belly. You wouldn't know it looking at her from behind, but from the side. And I'm really concerned about that, and I'm going to have to talk to
And
parents.
see, and see, that's what Nancy mentioned earlier on. That's a sign of insulin resistance. When
Yes,
you have
she's
this
10
beer
years
when
old.
you
Yeah.
have this beer belly,
Hmm.
when you have that beer belly around your waist, that's a sign of insulin resistance. That's not a
Hmm.
low calorie problem. That's
Yes.
a hormonal problem.
Hmm.
So that again, that comes back to the gut. What's causing the problem in the gut in the first place, and how can we solve this problem? Medication is not going to solve that problem. It's going to be coming down to the type of food. So we can actually fix the gut very, very quickly by just feeding it the right way.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm. Well,
That's it. So
uh,
we've resolved everything now.
yes.
The
Well,
world's
we have at
problems.
least we have an option. So
Yeah.
have we covered this topic to satisfaction?
Yes. I
I
think
think
so.
so. I think we covered it all. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a good job, I
For
think.
now.
We really did. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
helping
No
us
problem, Victoria.
expose the
Yeah.
issues here. And we'll see you again.
Okay.
Speak
Nice to
soon.
talk to you guys.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye now.